Halloween. All right. Item G, as I mentioned earlier, that I asked the village manager to bring this to us tonight as a resolution, not as an ordinance, because of Artie's and Susan's
And mine.
Okay, all of you guys, okay.
We all thought it was a
All
bad
right,
idea.
let's do it, okay.
So do we then move to amend the ordinance to
Can I
read a
just
resolution?
ask Paul a follow-up
Yes,
question?
you can, first of all, let's get a motion on that. Need a motion,
So moved.
moved by Artie, second
Second.
by Dan. All right, go ahead, ask Paul.
Great. Paul, so if we're changing this to a resolution, does that strike the language from the ordinance as it's written that says trick-or-treating at other hours or on other days shall be treated as a violation of this code?
Yes, I have the prior resolution in front of me, so it would be the same as what was in 2018, which does not contain that language.
And what does it contain?
We should
Would
have
you
it
like me
read
to-
out loud because we
Should I
don't have
read
it
it?
part of our
Sure.
packet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This better not be one of those 25 pagers, so.
It's not that long, but I'll do the
Go
best
ahead,
I can.
go ahead.
Okay, so it's titled, "A Resolution Setting Halloween Trick-or-Treat Hours from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. on," so whatever the date is this year.
Thursday, October
Thank you.
31st.
October 31st, 2019. Whereas the Village of Oak Park encourages the children of Oak Park to enjoy the fun and excitement associated with Halloween. And whereas local young people will be enjoying trick-or-treat activities and will be supporting UNICEF by collecting funds to be used to help the hungry, sick, homeless, and disaster-ravaged children of the world. And whereas it is fitting for trick-or-treat activities to be conducted for the enjoyment of village youngsters, and whereas that parents, whenever possible, accompany their youngsters in these festivities or educate their children in the basics of safety, such as not getting into cars or talking to strangers and watching both ways before crossing streets. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the President and the Board of Trustees of the Village of Oak Park in the exercise of their home rule powers that trick-or-treat in the Village of Oak Park shall be conducted on Thursday, October 31st, 2019, from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m.
And this is what the board has passed every single year before this?
Yes.
So can I just ask a question? Why did village staff decide that we needed an ordinance this year?
The only thing that happened internally was that the OPFYI went out and stated the hours before the board had heard the resolution. And so I'd asked Paul if we could just bring it back as a one-time ordinance so the board didn't have to do it every year and we could put it in the OPFYI. And I think it just morphed into something that wasn't intended. So we're totally fine with the resolution. We just thought it was silly for the board every year to have to do this in, say, August so we could get it in the correct newsletter.
So the one comment I have to make about this is the following, and that is that this is a really good example of two things. One, why racial equity training is really important, because if we had used a checklist to evaluate this ordinance, we would have realized that this is overreach, and we would have realized that this is not necessary. We would have also realized that this actually impacts kids of parents who are working families, single-parent families who cannot get back in time. Because I know when I was a single mother, I got home at 6:30, and we started trick-or-treating at 7, which would have been outside village hours, and we would have been in violation of the code. So I think it's really important that we consider what it is we're putting on our consent agenda, and we consider who it's impacting before proposing it.
Okay, do we have any public comments?
We do.
Okay.
Suzanne Fairfax. And after Suzanne,
I
is
think
she still here?
Suzanne gave up on us.
No, she's
No,
coming.
she's coming, she's coming.
Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry.
there you go.
Anthony Clark.
So since it's been moved to a resolution, it's not as key, and RT already said what I think is the most important, is that this is a very, very good example of the difference of using a racial equity lens when creating laws and codes for this village and not doing it, and how something can accidentally become a real problem. So I just would like to think about that. And I'd also like to say that I just heard even in the resolution from last year, it said for village young people or something, or for, or young people, I didn't bring my notes down, but I just also want to make sure that we keep the sense that Halloween is one of the most beautiful times in Oak Park. Moving to Oak Park and realizing that we have communities around us, and a lot of people in Oak Park think that it's this bubble or that there's this wall between us, and Halloween is one of the best times when we actually connect with our neighbors in a way that doesn't look at it that way. And I would hate to have anything get in the way of that. I mean, it's fantastic. We go through, probably 700 pieces of candy every year, and we don't sit on it. We don't wait for the doorbell to ring. We're down on the sidewalk in our coats, saying hi. Everybody's lovely. It's just so beautiful. So let's not get in the way of that by some kind of accidental, let's do this a easier way. So thank you for bringing this to the attention and changing it.
Thanks, Suzanne.
Anthony Clark, and then after Anthony Clark, Will Sims.
Hello, board. How we doing? I had a whole speech planned, honestly. I see we changed this resolution in regards to Halloween. So I just want to share a quick truth as being a black male. I used to be a black kid that moved to this community, or my parents moved to this community at the age of 5. I served 6 years in the military. I was shot in 2007, diagnosed with PTSD. Through that process of attending therapy sessions, I realized that I actually had PTSD from being a child, from interaction with police officers in this community, when I was choked out in Scoville Park at the age of 12. And I honestly can't even think straight right now. I'm a little irritated, I'll be honest with you, because I feel like, you all are wonderful as individuals, but to have people with privilege speak for me in my experiences is unacceptable. I feel like you all, many of you, are missing the important issue of systemic issue. Systemic issue. As a black male in this community with degrees accomplished, I am still afraid of interaction with police officers. I grew up next to Dino. I remember being stopped, pushed against my garage by police officers asking, do I live in this community? Oak Park consistently pats itself on the back for being progressive, consistently pats itself on the back for being diverse, but then we have limited viewpoints when we're discussing issues. If we're truly a progressive and diverse community that appreciates diversity, we should be limiting police interaction. Limiting police interaction, because if you understand the issues are systemic, I don't give a damn if you have 3 good cops. The system is the problem. And every day I encounter my children, my students, even with resource officers within our high school building. They are damaged and afraid of police. And the same symptoms I have with PTSD, I see in our youth today. The same symptoms. So I would challenge the board to step back from your privilege and your perception and start understanding the difference and start understanding what systemic issues mean. Because I'll be damned if I ever have kids. I had one, he was kind of in my life, not my official kid, but I was raising a child. I'll be damned if police ever have a way or say in how he's raised.
Mr. Sims?
Hi, Will Sims. I echo what Anthony Clark has to say about the Halloween issue. I have an 11-year-old, and we trick or treat. We trick or treat past 7 o'clock. We have a good time. He is getting taller. He's gonna be recognized as a young black male, which is going to be a target for police walking through the streets, whether it's trick or treating or whatever. I don't want to sidestep the trick or treating issue. I think 7 o'clock is too early to stop trick or treating. I think it actually targets the people that are working, people that get off of work and can only get out, say, at 6 or 7 o'clock or after dinner and try to get an hour in or something like that. It's unfair to them. It also is targeting people from other communities, from Austin, from Maywood, neighboring communities that don't have great trick-or-treating neighborhoods to come to, that come over to here. They shouldn't do that, but it's actually going to target them. They'll get citations. that's going to create a problem, make them feel more uncomfortable, and make Oak Park look a lot less friendly and welcoming to other races and other cultures. So I think the time should be extended. I don't think there should be a rule. I mean, why are you going to put a law on Halloween? That doesn't even make sense. It's Halloween. We're supposed to be out there having fun, saying boo and collecting candy and getting to know our neighbors a little bit better. I don't think there should be any restrictions on that holiday.
Is that
Call for
it?
this.
Okay, take the roll, please.
Oh, hold on.
We have discussion on the.
Well, yeah,
it's a
there's a
resolution.
couple of things. I agree with the public speaker that 7 o'clock is too early. We should make it, I think, either 3 to 8 or 4 to 8, or forego any hours whatsoever. I mean, it's kind of strange to tell somebody when you can go knock on somebody's door and ask for candy. So I would be fine with 4 to 8 or 3 to 8. I think that's a good compromise. I don't know what my colleagues think about that.
I think they're 3 to 8. And people don't really start until like 3:30 usually, but 3 to 8's fine. I think people also just turn off their lights, right? It
Yeah.
has to do with how much candy did you buy from Costco? How many people came to your house,
Yeah.
you know?
Okay.
I'm fine with 3 to
Dan?
8.
4 to 8 is my preferred.
Okay. All right.
I actually like Dino's idea of foregoing any hours, because I honestly don't think that there's, I don't know who trick-or-treats at 3 o'clock, because, I mean, don't
think it's some
people
little kids
work?
at
Tiny
3 that come
kids,
in.
people bring out their littles, but
Okay.
nobody's home.
Do you know
Right,
what-
so
what-
nobody's home at 3 o'clock, so what's the point? But anyway, I just don't think we should have any hours, and if we do have hours, they should be extended to 9 PM at the latest.
I'm glad Dino is for the children. I think that's very good. But I just want to say that I think 4 to 8 would be fine. It's a safety issue too late. People do drink on that evening. They're out driving. Kids are very hard. I don't see well at night and driving around the village, and I'm always afraid of kids popping out between the cars. A lot of cars are on the streets, so you just have to be careful. I wouldn't want it unlimited, that's all.
Yeah, I think people also, there's a time when people want to be done answering the door so they can have dinner and stuff like that too. So if this, in my view, this is always just a historic advisory, like announcement every year to say, this is when people are
Okay,
trick or treating.
48. Okay, we're voting on a 4 to 8.
4 to
Okay.
8. That
Can you
was
make that
trustee
change?
Walker and Pettigotla and Maroney for 4 to 8. Okay,
Works by me.
Sure.
Okay,
okay.
take the roll.
Okay, trustee Walker, Pettigotla,
Yes.
trustee Maroney,
Yes.
trustee Andrews,
Yes.
trustee Boutet,
Yes.
trustee Buchanan,
Yes.
trustee Taglia.
Yes.
And Mayor Abu Taleb.
Yes,